Hi class, we are going to talk about characters, how to input and output it through the file streams. So you opened a file for input. Now what do? You can get data from it. And in the last video, we talked about using it just like we were getting input from users from cin, and using the arrow basically to call the function. If you might not know it, actually we didn't really explicitly talked about it, but it basically we're able to allow you to get a variable at a time. In here though, we are going to get the data as character one at a time. So for example, if your file has the letters A, B, C, it will get A first. If you call this function .get, and C is a character, and then if you call this again, get C, .get C, it will get the second character, which is B. So it works only for input file stream. As you know, input file stream is for inputs, right? But if you want to put something in a file, you would use the .put. It's also one character at a time. And there's actually a back to the file stream. So what do you think it will be related to a input file stream or output file stream? So you're putting it back. It means it was already there. So the answer is input file stream. You can actually read the character and then put it back. So you might want to use it actually in our lab that's coming up. To read files this way, it's not as easy as the last video that we can say, hey, this is a double, so we read all the doubles and then we end it. To read a character at a time, why do we want to check it? I'm basically giving you the answer. Because we are reading one character at a time, and so you need to know where you are reading to the end of file. If you think about how memory is allocated, those characters are going to be in a sequence, right? And if there's no end to no indication of where it ends, then it will read past, and then there will be garbage that will come out. So it's important to figure out where the end of file is. There is a function for end of file that you can call to check. The way to check it actually is that you have to read one character past the end of file for it to return false. So we are going to look at a program to do so. So first I want to show you the input file first. So we just have ABC, and there's no return character, no anything, so we save it. And then the normal stuff on top, we are opening the file. We check if the open is done correct or has been okay. I'm actually doing it the wrong way first. So if in this case we actually check the file and then get a character and then repeat, and you will see that it actually will read past the file. So let me go to a terminal also, and then and then we will run the program, and then you will see there's an extra C in the end when our file actually have no C in the end. So that's what I meant by there will be garbage, right? So the right way to actually use the end of file is that you want to read one character first. And then you, once it's end of file, you don't print out that the last character that you've received. So we will run it again, and you see this time there's no garbage at the end. So I thought this is a good way to show you how to use end of function. So, and this is important because you would need to use this in your assignment as well. So next thing I want to talk about the character sets that we can see in the terminal. So here we do not have 256 characters that is actually presented in ASIC. These are only the printable characters, those that you can see, and 32 is a space. The interesting thing is also that you can see there's a number correspond to it. We will talk about this later. This table is actually in Appendix 3. You might need to refer to it for some assignments. And then there's a link to go to see all the 256 characters. For there are also some other predefined functions that you can use to look at if a character is an alpha. So basically, if it will return true if it is, the A, B, C, D, E, F, G in capital letter and in lowercase. So it's alpha, and then it's a test for the character C. For digits, so it would, as we mentioned, this is about characters, right? So it's one character at a time. So you can test a character if it's a digit. This function, this Boolean expression will return true. The same for spaces. You will see a demonstration later how we would use it. So the value actually is sometimes useful because you will see that a capital K, for example, is correspond to 75, a capital A is correspond to 65. In some cases, you might find this useful, and even the digit 3 has a value correspond to it, 51. So I'm going to show you. So in this function, we basically ask the user to input a number. It will read it even if you give it like 123 and thinking that is 123, because it's reading a character at a time. It will read only the first digit, and then it will tell you the value of the integer value that correspond to that particular character. So have to kind of be careful about what it means by what's the difference of a character and like a whole number, for example. So we would, this is B, so we compile it, and then it will ask us to input a number. Like for example, even if I say 1, 2, 3, it will only read 1, right? You can see the result is like 1 has the value of 49, for example. Let's try a character. For example, the capital K we saw is 75. So what I did was to typecast the character into integer, and that's what you get. So how to set a file name? Why it's important is because in the assignment, for example, you would have to ask the user for input of the file name. But you've seen this before, actually, in the first demo in this video. We just put the file name after the open, put it in around the double quotes, and then you can open a file this way. But the better way, like last video we said, a good way is to put it in a constant and then open the file. You can do this in user input too. So we can ask, or I would do it in the next demo, is that you declare a character array. Basically, we will talk about array in the next module. But for now, this array will be able to accept a file name that is less than or equal to 20 characters. Because it needs one character to include, to say, hey, this is the end of this character array. But the important thing is you know how to do this, and then you know how to use that variable inside the open function. So we are going to do a counting character demo. We will just read from a file, and then we would count how many printable, basically how many characters are in there, no matter what it is, in a way. And then the non-white space characters, and then the letters. So let's look at the input file first. So this is the input file that I have that's created to do this demo. And then I've set this up so that we don't have to go through everything. So you can see that we have a C character that we are going to use it to continuously read the file. This is the output that we are seeking: the number of characters, the number of non-white space characters, and the number of letter characters. And then the output is already written. So we are just going to write the middle part where we are going to read the file and calculate the statistics. So I want to show you how to get the user input. And so this is what we are going to do. Please enter a file name. Yeah. And of course we need a variable to read that file. So it cannot be constant because we are changing it on the fly while we are running this program. And the best way is always know that how long or have a limit, because you otherwise it means that you don't know how long that character array is not very healthy for your program, and it might actually even give you an error. So we would then read the file name. Then we would declare also a file stream. It's an input file stream because that's an input file that we are getting. So open, and then the file's name, and then we will check if the file is has been opened properly. If it fails, we will exit. You've seen this before, so I'm not going to explain too much. So if this works, then we will start calculating how many characters are there. So like we talked about in last demo, we want to get one character first, and then we will check if it's end of file, and we will do a while loop. When it's not end of file yet, not end of file, then we will continue to do what we want to do, right? And at the end is always getting the character again. So how about this part then? So what do we want to do with the characters? We want to, well, first of all, if the first character is okay, it means that the number, we can count one more number of character, right? So we can say plus to add 1 to the number. So then we will check if it's a white space, right? So we want to figure out how many non-white space are there. So if it's a white space, the character is not a white space, then the number of non-white space, we can increment it. So now the next thing is, if it's a letter, what is the function for if it's a letter? is alpha, right? It's kind of here. So if the character is a alpha, then we also count the letter, like we increment the letter. Important thing is initialize the variables so that we are counting from 0. So this looks like what it is. So let's compile the program. I think this is demo count character, no, .cpp. And then we'll run the program. It will ask us to input the file name, which is input2.dat. And then it said it has 549 characters, 455 non-white space, and then number of letters 443. So I would also give you this program, this file so that you can test your program. So actually, because I'm in a Linux machine, there is a function that I can use to check the number of characters, and you can see that it's also 549. So we verify that it is correct. So when you write a program, always want to verify, right, that you are doing the right thing. Of course, to verify if how many letters there are, how many white space there are, or non-white space character there are, we can go in and count. We can also write another program to count the white space as well, right? So this is the end of the demo. Next video will be about your lab assignment, so don't miss it.